The quintessential blonde bimbo on the sitcom Married with Children.
Kelly, you have to go to school. Kelly, you have to pass. Kelly, you have to learn to read.
But for Christina Applegate, the laughter stopped at the stage door.
And I thought, what is going on?
Christina stood up to tabloids, typecasting, and tragedy. Now the former teen queen comes clean about the hit show she dreaded, life off camera, and how actor Jonathan Scheck became her leading man at home.
Your husband's got to have some talents, do you know what I mean?
Christina Applegate is about to be revealed.
I said, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to be a kid. I didn't want to like it. I'm like, this is garbage. It was sad first, and then I was relieved.
Christina Applegate was just 15 when she slipped into her first miniskirt as Kelly Bundy on Married with Children. At the time, Christina had no idea the show would run more than a decade and that her racy TV image would haunt her for years afterward.
Now Christina's landed new movie roles and a new husband. We sat down for a candid and playful chat about her roller coaster life.
This last year has been so momentous for you.
It's kind of been wild. It's a lot of milestones.
Yeah, you got married.
Got married and turned 30 and started a whole new life, a whole new career, and it's been very interesting. Very, very good year.
Could you ever have seen yourself here, do you think?
Pretty much everything that's happened, I sort of had a vision for at some point in my life. You know, I had a vision for a happy marriage, and I had a vision for being healthy and, you know, still feeling young and vibrant at 30, and then having the, you know, working with amazing people. So at some point, I think I visioned it. Whether it was exactly what I saw then, no, but it's, you know, it's kind of inevitable, I think, at some point.
What are your thoughts on turning 30?
Well, a very beautiful girlfriend of mine said to me the other day that 40 is the new 30. So it gave me a whole new perspective on the whole thing. So I'm actually 20. So that's okay. It's okay. I feel fine about it. I feel wonderfully youthful in my spirit, but I feel like I've lived a lot of life and a lot of up and downs and a lot of things that have made me a lot wiser. So I enjoy being right where I am.
Which, by the way, is a very good place. Professionally, Christina is busy segueing from one movie role to the next. But it's her personal life that she's most excited about. Christina is married to actor Jonathan Scheck.
I don't even know how you met, or...
We met through a friend of ours, a director by the name of Gregoraki, who we both worked for at one point in our lives, and he introduced us, not with any intention of anything happening, but it just seemed to work and to click.
And 2 weeks later, I kept thinking about her. So I finally called Greg and I said, look, you know, that girl that you brought that night to the play, I'd really, I'd like to give her a call. And he goes, well, she's been waiting for your phone call. Here's her phone number.
Christina and Jonathan quietly began dating in 1998. In 1999, Jonathan popped the question while the couple was vacationing in Hawaii.
I went to a restaurant with her and we were going to have a private moment together. Really beautiful restaurant, and she's sitting across from me and she says, you know, this has been a great trip. And she goes, what's been the best time that you've had since you've been on vacation? And I said, right now. And I pulled out the ring and leaned across, and she looked, and then I said, will you marry me? And just as that happened, a waiter came by and dropped a full plate of food right by her feet, and it crashed, and the guy was apologizing, and my heart was going through my chest, and Christina's calming me down, and then she looked up with tears in her eyes and said, yeah, I'd love to be your wife.
In October 2001, Christina and Jonathan were married at a private resort in Palm Springs.
You still are newlywed.
Yeah, pretty much, technically.
How's marriage been?
5-6 months.
Has it been different than you thought it would be?
Yeah, it's different than anything I ever thought it would be. I come from, you know, a single-parent family, so I don't really know what that's about. But it's so calm now. It's just really calm. Not that it was anything before, but now there's just this sense of, hey, you know, we're in this forever, and everything is on the table, and everything is important.
He is good looking.
He's a foxy guy. I know. He's foxy. It was those eyes that got me, I think.
If I had to roll over in bed next to that, I would be just, it would put me into...
Not if he's snoring. No, he doesn't snore. Honey, I know. You don't snore.
For being a Hollywood couple, you guys are really private, though.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like I talk about it a lot, though. I get asked about it a lot, but I'm proud of it, you know. We're pretty private people. I mean, I think that's it's an important aspect, especially when the rest of your life is out there for everyone to scrutinize and to judge and talk about. So we keep it pretty private.
All right, I have a revealing moment on Christina Applegate. For her birthday this year, she was Jean Harlow.
Coming up,
She had this tumor that was rapidly growing in her breast.
I always said she saved my life.
and then the Applegate tapes revealed.
I'm really sorry.
And later, Christina spills the beans.
I didn't know the Madonna thing.
You didn't? Oh, God, now I'm going to be in so much trouble.
Christina Applegate was a teenager when she was cast in Married with Children, but her career actually started much earlier. Christina's mother, Nancy, was a struggling actress and singer. Her father, Robert, was a record producer and DJ.
At the time, I was a disc jockey at KPPC in LA, and Christina was a Lamaze baby. So I was there, and I taped her birth. And her mom had an album out at that time, and one of the tracks on the album was called Christina's World.
Christina's world was a world of willow trees.
So I went into the studio the night after she was born, played the tape of her birth on the radio, and then segued into Christina's World.
She wrote that song far before she even met my father. And then she met my father, and then they had a dog, and they named the dog Christina, and then I guess they just weren't very creative people, and when I came out, it was Christina, so.
Do you know any of the words?
Christina's world is a world of ollie ollie, awesome free, something or other, some other trippy 60s kind of lyrics. I don't know. La 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 la.
Talking to someone no one sees. Lightning bugs at sundown.
Christina's parents separated soon after her birth. As a single mom, Nancy had no choice but to bring her baby to every audition. Christina was just 3 months old when she cooed her way into a Playtex Nurser commercial as her mother's co-star.
She makes fun of the way I talk on it because I'm just so sweet. So she spits up less, has less gas.
Now she has less gas and spits up less because Playtex collapsible bottles and natural-shaped nipples mean less air in her tummy and no work and worry about cleaning bottles.
It's a little embarrassing.
Nancy continued taking Christina to auditions, and the little girl continued to charm casting directors. In 1974, the 3-year-old recorded a series of radio commercials for Kmart.
Are you the opposite sex, or am I? I can't say all that. My mouth is too little.
And the campaign took off and went on for 4 years. She bought a house. We call it Kmart Manor.
In 1979, Nancy and 8-year-old Christina flew to Tuscaloosa, Alabama to play mother and daughter again. This time in a low-budget horror film, Jaws of Satan. Check out the terror on Christina's face.
That was a real snake, and she didn't know that that snake was going to be there.
The real scare took place after the film wrapped. Nancy wanted to stay in Alabama, which would have meant skipping her yearly medical exam.
Chrissy wanted to come home, and so we came home, and I went and had the doctor's appointment, and sure enough, that's when I was first diagnosed. I always said she saved my life, because if I'd waited 6 months, I'd been too late.
Your mom actually attributes her surviving her first bout with breast cancer to you.
Because the way I was being psychic baby, I think, at the time. Yeah, I guess I took her out of a place that she wanted to stay. She wanted to stay in Alabama for some reason. I just wanted to go home. And it was her coming home to find out that she had this tumor that was rapidly growing in her breast. So I guess in a way she attributed it to that. I think that there are things that happen that aren't coincidences.
I think you were 8 at the time.
When that all was happening, you know, it happened so quickly. It's such a flash in my memory at this point that it just seemed like I knew that she was going to be okay.
Nancy recovered and returned to acting. Meanwhile, Christina continued to land the occasional part.
I really had no intention of her doing anything professionally. You know, it was just, she just would do things and fall into stuff with me.
In 1980, Nancy met a woman who helped push Christina's acting career, talent manager Tammy Lynn.
I couldn't get my eyes off of Christina because she was so beautiful. She was so beautiful. And so Nancy happened to mention to me that she was really just not going out. And I was shocked.
Lynn signed Christina and helped set up auditions. In her early teens, Christina guest starred on Charles in Charge and Silver Spoons, while squeezing in part-time jobs on the side.
Someone once told me, they said that you were on a series at that point, but you were like babysitting too. And I didn't know if that was like a total lie.
I probably was. I think I was. I was babysitting. I worked at a gym. I worked at Nautilus.
What did you do?
I called people and tried to sell membership.
I did that too.
Did you really?
Because if you get one person, you get like a lot of money.
Yeah, exactly. So there I was back there at 14 years old or whatever. I think they thought I was 18. I think I lied about my age at the time. And I was working at Nautilus and on a series all at the same time.
And they would give you cards.
Trying to have some semblance of normality in my life.
Could you ever have seen yourself not acting?
If I wasn't acting, I'd be dancing. I'd be doing something. I'm a performer, you know, and when you're born a performer, you're just born a performer. It's in you. It's there. You can't be an insurance agent, you know. You have to perform. You have so much in you that you need to get out. So I was a dancer most of my life, so that's what I would have been doing. I would have been in New York, I think, if I wasn't acting.
We've got great footage of you dancing in like these crazy outfits and big hair. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, when I was part of the Julie O'Connell dancers, when I wasn't a very good dancer at that time. I excelled as I matured in my life, but yeah, I had some hair going on, man. I think I started the whole mall hair thing, and I'm really sorry to all women across the nation for that. I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry.
Now, you actually were working before you really could have a choice about it. Was there ever a point where you really did decide you liked it, or you did decide you didn't like it?
Yeah, I mean, there was definitely a time when I was about 13 that I just didn't want to do it anymore. I didn't want to leave school and go on an audition ever again. I had long blonde hair. I was very much that young, you know, sweet little actress, and I just went and like shaved all my hair off. And I said, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to be a kid. I want to, you know, rebel and have a good time. And she said, fine, go ahead. And I went up to my room, and I sat there, and I thought about it, and I came back down, and I said, well, I'll go on that one audition next week for that one show. And I did, and I ended up getting this show, and that sort of started this whole ball rolling from series to here.
Coming up, the day Christina met the original Kelly Bundy.
Should I even talk about this story? Yeah, I will.
And Christina is trapped.
Oh yeah, I dread it every Friday night.
In 1986, Fox Television was a fledgling network desperate for a hit. A raunchy sitcom pilot called Married with Children had been shot, but Fox executives wanted to recast the with children roles. Here's the inside story on how Christina Applegate turned down the part that made her famous, and what happened the day she ran into the original Kelly Bundy.
They had come to me to audition for Married with Children, and I was such a serious kid. I had no sense of humor whatsoever. And I read this, and I'm like, this is just gross. I do not want to audition for this. This is gross. So I didn't. I passed on the whole thing.
At the time, 14-year-old Christina was co-starring in her first network television drama, Heart of the City. But the low-rated series was canceled before the end of the first season.
I went and I did my series, and I guess I went and did the pilot.
Well, originally, the Bud and Kelly, those characters, were played by two other actors. In the pilot, I think the producers felt that they were going to have to make a change.
And they came back after they had seen the show that was on, and said, please, we're replacing these people, and we know that your show just got canceled, so please come in. We'll send you a copy of the pilot. And my mom and I sat down, and we both did not want to like this at all. I didn't want to like it. I'm like, this is garbage. And we put it on, and it was just the funniest thing I had ever seen. And I thought, okay, I'll go.
And didn't you actually audition with David, or did you guys?
Yeah, we kind of, there was a reading that happened. It was just sort of, I don't even really remember the process so much, because I didn't know how into the whole thing I was. And I wasn't, like I said, I wasn't funny, so I wasn't comfortable with comedy at that point, really. But it just, yeah, there he was. He was a little guy. So cute.
When Christina and I went in together, even though I was only 12 at the time, like, I just knew, like, this was it just felt like it was happening.
The role of Kelly Bundy wasn't well defined, so Christina struggled to make the part her own.
Let go of my hair, you little psychopath. Die, call me bimbo.
Maybe they wrote one or two jokes where Kelly was dumb, and Christina just played it really well. And it was like, okay, let's try that.
And she's got a great sense of comedy.
For a quiet evening at home, I like to put on a little soft music, get a little fire going, and listen to my brother inflating his date.
She's got a great understanding of what makes something funny.
Initial ratings for the sitcom were mediocre. Then conservative groups protested the racy comedy. But the publicity actually attracted viewers.
And it just sort of backfired and put us on the front page of the New York Times. And before we knew it, everybody was watching the show.
By the end of the second season, Married with Children was a hit, and Christina Applegate a star.
Did you ever meet the other girl that had been cast as Kelly?
Should I even talk about this story? Yeah, I will. Yes, I used to dance with her when we were kids. And she wasn't very nice to me in our dance class. Yeah. So when this all happened, I kind of had a feeling of calm about myself when it all happened. It just didn't work. Whatever the ingredients were, just didn't work. So, but I did know her. And it was weird seeing her afterwards. You know, it was a strange feeling.
Kelly ended up becoming a very different character than, obviously, as she matured. What was that like?
Or regressed,
yeah.
as I like to say. Yeah, well, I mean, at first, we didn't really know who she was supposed to be. I don't think the writers really knew. And for me, my inspiration really came from this movie called The Decline of Western Civilization Part 2. And there was a girl in there who had won the Gazaris contest, and she was very blonde and very done up, and they asked her, what are you going to do next? And she said, I'm going to concentrate on my modeling and my actressing. And I said, oh my God, that's it. That's who this person is. So we went shopping for a bunch of Lycra, and I didn't know what I was getting myself into. I just knew that this person had to be immortalized in some way. So I had to learn about my sexuality after having already put it out there. I didn't even know what I was doing yet. I was very young, and I think it wasn't until after the show was over that I really found that part of myself. I really had to find it for myself instead of it being sort of forced upon me.
Christina has no regrets about playing Kelly Bundy, but there's one best-selling poster she wishes we'd all forget.
The infamous eagle snake poster.
She talked about that? See, I was going to bring it today, and I thought, I can't bring that. She hates that poster.
I mean, at the time, it's totally 80s, bro.
But I know that it haunts her. Yeah, I have it actually in my garage, framed very nicely.
That character was a huge fan favorite.
Oh, yeah, you go out there in a miniskirt, I think, anyone's going to like you.
Oh, the pressure. Kelly, you have to go to school. Kelly, you have to pass. Kelly, you have to learn to read.
Come on now, sweetheart. I know you can pass.
You're a smart girl.
That was interesting, being put in that position and sort of sometimes not really being considered an actor anymore, you know? That you're just kind of the blonde hottie. You know, it was an interesting thing to have to battle through.
Was there ever a point where it was just too much for you?
Oh yeah. I mean, I dreaded every Friday night. I dreaded having to put on that skirt and that belt. And I mean, I loved playing this character, but going through the things that you physiologically go through, you emotionally go through when you're a teenager, and then still having to, there's so many body image things that are going on anyway when you're growing up that I think it really tested my self-image a lot.
It's a strange cycle, too, when you think about it, like, at your age, having your own self-image issues or dealing with your own self-image, and then yet you're this character that's putting out those images.
Right.
It's such a strange, yeah.
And she's confident. So she's very comfortable in her skin, and no girl at 17 is comfortable in her skin. So having to kind of play this character who was so comfortable in her skin was a challenge. It was interesting.
Coming up, Fandomonium.
They were chasing us out, and I thought, what is going on?
And later,
I think that people would be surprised to know that.
And I can't go to Winker County with Mom and Dad because...
A rubber sheep is demanding you take a blood test?
Married with Children redefined TV family values in the 1990s, but life as blonde bimbo Kelly Bundy was almost too much for Christina Applegate to handle.
Was there ever an incident or something that happened where you actually realized, oh, it's going to be different now?
Yeah, you know, we actually, back in the day, the early days of Fox Network, they used to make us go to malls and sign autographs. And, I mean, we had, like, the full-on Tiffany Mall hysteria thing happening. We were chased out of the mall, like the Beatles.
It was scary how many people were there. It was a sea of people, and they were all on the balconies, and they were shouting at Christina, and hey, Blondie, and this and that, and it was just, it was unbelievable.
And it got a little scary. I mean, they were, you know, and especially with Christina, we all sort of kind of had to, you know, huddle around and get everybody off, but make sure she was sort of in the middle because, you know, it got a little nuts.
And I thought, what is going on? Why do people care?
Kelly Bundy's fans pumped up the volume at show tapings.
The applause would just go, you know, wild, and then I'd come out and they'd be going, oh, okay, that's nice, there's Marcy, okay.
Big hoops and hollers and, you know, cat whistles. That's got to be a little odd when you're 17 years old.
Producers capitalized on Christina's sexy image.
They increased the amount the clothes got tighter. Remember, you know, they always wanted her to be in short skirts. They always wanted her to have low cut, you know. I remember one year she wanted to dye her hair. She didn't want to have blonde hair, and so she wore a wig for a whole season because she dyed her hair. But the producers were adamant that she had to be blonde. Well, they loved that bimbo thing, and she'd go in and out of feeling really uncomfortable with it.
Christina struggled to live up to that image. Dieting became a way of life.
I used to say, you're too skinny. You know, why don't you eat something? Because she'd get so thin. And I knew it was because she was concerned about the weight, you know, and she wouldn't eat. And she would get really thin. And when she was really skinny, she felt, well, I look all right now.
I really felt for her because those are hard years and hard changes to go through, like on national television.
The tabloids picked up on Christina's struggle with her weight, but that was just one of many unflattering stories that were published during the show's run.
At one point they said that I was dating Ed, which is just, I mean, disgusting, first of all, because he was like a father figure to me.
So funny because, of course, I ran out and bought a few copies, you know, and I brought them to work the next day, and I was overjoyed, you know, I was passing them around. And, of course, she came in with the exact opposite feeling, you know. She was, you know, horrified that they would come out with this sort of thing.
People still ask me about that, believe it or not.
But nothing lasts forever, especially in television. In the spring of 1996, after 11 seasons on the air, Married with Children was abruptly canceled.
the show was hugely successful. I mean, could you ever imagine 11 seasons?
I think we all took the show thinking it was going to be 13 weeks. And each year was just a big surprise to us. And it just kept going on and on and on and on and on. And we just expected it to just keep going. And then it was just pop, it was over. So strange.
A relief?
It's just strange. Yeah, I think it was a relief because at that point I think we all just needed to go find who we were. David and I, especially having grown up in this environment, being raised by these people, wonderfully being raised by these people, because we were with them more than we were with our own families. But just having to find who we really were as adults now, because now we're adults. It was so strange. But they didn't tell us that we got canceled, and it was all very weird. It was just very weird how it happened. It was very sad.
It was awful. We didn't know it was the last episode at all, and it was very depressing, actually.
It was sad first, and then I was relieved, I think.
She called me after, I don't know, a month or so, and she was very emotional about, I love you and I miss you and all that sort of thing. And it took me by surprise that she really felt that loss, that, of not being there every day, that she was saying, oh, I took it for granted and I didn't realize how I enjoyed it and all that sort of thing, which was kind of touching,
I love her and I miss her.
Coming up, Christina's world comes crashing down.
I remember coming in one time and she just looked gray.
And later,
I was kind of like, oh, God, do I want to do this again?
Welcome back to Revealed. I'm Jules Asner. Whatever problems came Christina Applegate's way, her mother Nancy Pretty was always there to help. But in 1996, Christina faced a crisis that left her feeling helpless. Her mother's breast cancer was back.
Christina's world was a world of fuss and cry. Christina's world.
That was the last season of Married with Children.
Yeah.
And you were with her.
Mm-hmm. That was tough watching her, lose her hair and go through all that. It was a really tough time. Then having to go out there and be funny and, do the things that you got to pull yourself together and get out there. But yeah, it was a tough time for her, for me.
I remember coming in one time and she just looked gray. She couldn't even talk. She just sat over in the corner and just her skin looked gray. It was a horrible experience for her.
Christina is a pro, man. She would, she would come in and she would be crying and she would be upset and she would be in her dressing room and then she'd be out and you'd never know it.
I don't think that she wanted to be overt about what was going on with her mother or anything in her personal life, really. She really tried to just manage things herself. That Christina tries to handle stuff.
Growing up, it was just the two of us, so as she used to say, it's you and me against the world, kid. So it was hard when somebody said, that she might not live through this. It was very strange. Like, no, that's not supposed to happen.
Christina's mother, Nancy, recovered following extensive chemotherapy.
Hi, I'm Christina Applegate. Both my mother and my manager are breast cancer survivors.
Afterward, Christina became a supporter of the Susan G. Komen Breast Cancer Foundation, and she appeared in a campaign with her mother.
That woman is amazing. She's such a trooper. She would never give up. No way.
Do you draw strength from her strength?
I think so. I think we balance each other out in that department. We share the same faith, and we share a lot of that, too. So her introducing me to that at such a young age, I think, has really kept us both going, I suppose. But, there was just always this sense that everything was going to be okay no matter what happened.
Are you a spiritual person?
I wouldn't want to be doing all this by myself, I'd hate to walk around the earth thinking that. I like to put it in the hands of the other thing, the other force that's going on here a little bit, and just sort of enjoy the ride.
As her mother recovered, Christina kept busy focusing on movies.
I did like 3 films. Whether people saw them or not, who cares? It was good for me to work after that. And then I took a break for a little while. And then the other one came along.
The other one was a starring role in a new situation comedy from the creators of Friends.
Now, how did they woo you back to do Jessie?
They approached me with a show that was already kind of set. It was already a show that was bought. And I was kind of like, oh, God, do I want to do this again? And I don't know, I'm kind of nervous about this.
It seems like something so hard to say no to. I mean...
Yeah, kind of, yeah, when they say that here's the cake, and they're really, you know, and we'll put the icing on for you, and you don't have to do a darn thing. It's all there. It's all set up for you. So I said, okay.
So what do you got there?
Oh, it's a brochure for a nursing school.
You're going to nursing school? Oh, I'm going to miss you so much. Maybe someday I'll get a disease and you can nurse me.
Yeah, that would be great. The NBC series Jessie premiered in September 1998, following Friends, the most coveted time slot on television.
How was it different being part of such an ensemble cast and then having so much of the pressure on you?
I just remember being exhausted. I mean, after the first taping, I just was like, oh no, this is how it's going to be every single week. Holy moly.
The show was exhausting, but it was fun too. Producers arranged for a surprise reunion between Christina and her former TV dad.
Where have you been, young lady? How you doing, Christina?
Ed O'Neill wasn't the only face from Christina's past to visit the show. David Faustino made a guest appearance during the first season.
I don't know if you caught a clip of that one. You might want to play a clip of that. Bob, do we have a clip of that?
I think I can get you into a fully loaded Centuria for a price that really puts the aving in saving.
They make you say that, don't they?
Yeah.
Casting stunts aside, the show didn't catch on. For the second season, producers retooled the concept and made major cast changes. Nothing worked. Jessie was canceled at the end of season 2.
I had such amazing people working with me. These actors were just so darling and wonderful and are still good friends of mine. And we had a lot of love on that set, so it really kept me going. They did.
Coming up...
What's up?
Jonathan Scheck confesses.
I was scared of her. she's so funny.
Then Christina strikes back.
I don't think we were the same kind of dancers.
In 1997, after 11 years on Married with Children and 2 more on Jessie, Christina Applegate decided to give TV a rest. She always had a second career in films, but none of her roles broke through. Now, with a few high-profile features under Christina's belt, it looks like the ghost of Kelly Bundy is gone for good.
How do you feel about working in television compared to working in films?
I feel it was very fluid and very easy. It seemed like just the next step and the next thing that I was supposed to be doing right now in my life. I enjoy the schedule. I enjoy 3 months and then getting to be free and doing whatever I want to do, and you know, having time to get married and live my life a little bit. I didn't get to do that my whole life. It's so great to be able to have this time.
Has it been a battle for people to see you differently than Kelly?
You know, for years I answered that question as no, because it's a question that gets asked a lot. But as I kept hearing it, I kept thinking, I guess it must be perception-wise a battle. If people keep asking me that question, then they're having a hard time with me crossing over. But I never had a problem because I was so far removed from who she was that it just seemed so normal to me to just move on and grow and change and evolve as a human being, as an actor, as a woman. But I suppose there probably were some doors that weren't completely open. I kicked them open, but they weren't completely open for me.
Well, I think when you're so strongly identify with a character that's very like iconic in a way, like the Brady Bunch. Like when you look at these people that you grow up with.
Right. But I used to answer that question like, no, of course not. But then I kind of understood what that meant, and that wasn't that you're projecting that on me or anything like that, but that it must be something that people find fascinating, and it must be something that's kind of going on a little bit. And I accepted that at some point.
By the spring of 2002, Christina had several new films in the can and was back on magazine covers looking hotter than ever. Not bad for someone who's been in the biz for more than 30 years. Cameron Diaz and Selma Blair were on those covers with Christina. They were also her co-stars in the movie The Sweetest Thing.
What is this? What is this? Oh, jeez. I don't know. I don't even know how long it's been in here. What is in here? No! That is not okay. It isn't okay. Or a disgusting, nasty pig. Do you understand there was maggots on that couch? Had you been looking to do something light and kind of an ensemble?
I didn't know what I was looking for really, and the script just sort of came along, and I opened it up, and I laughed from page 1 on, and I just thought I have to have this movie. I have to do this movie.
Did you have fun with Cameron and Selma?
Oh God, I mean, you know, Cameron is just, I mean, you can see it through celluloid. She's just such a bright light and such an amazing creature, so it was very easy to work with her. And Selma's just, you know, wacky and fabulous.
We just sort of like hit it off right away, you know? It was sort of like that thing of we just kind of were like, you know, let's be friends, you know? And regardless if we were, you know, she was going to do the movie or not, it was like kind of like that thing of like, oh. But she was so awesome. I mean, she's so funny.
We all met together, and they were already, you know, they had done their shopping, and they'd been, you know, wearing the same sunglasses, and went and got a manicure and pedicure, and I was like, oh, wait, I want to play. I want some love.
The Sweetest Thing put a raunchy spin on life as a single girl. Ironically, Christina got married just before filming began. Christina's new husband, Jonathan Scheck, appeared in a cameo.
What's up?
Nothing. What's up with you?
Nothing. What's up with you?
Nothing. What's up with you?
Nothing.
I was scared of her. she's so funny, you know. I didn't know what she was going to come up with next. Doing all this stuff. She's sucking her thing.
Coming up, Christina dishes on married life.
Oh, well, you know, your husband's got to have some talents. Do you know what I mean?
She's been in front of the camera since she was 3 months old, so you might think there's not much left to learn about Christina Applegate, but Christina had a few secrets to share on Madonna, Chippendales, and a very tasty passion.
We talked about preconceived notions or projecting, and I'm wondering, what do you think people would be most surprised about you?
I guess that they would probably be most surprised that I would rather sit on the couch with my dogs and my cats and my husband than do anything.
One dog on the couch and 2 cats by her side, me reading, or watching E! True Hollywood Story.
It's a Sagittarian's house, you know? It's just sort of a place where you can put your feet on anything, and it's very comfortable. And it's just we're homebodies, and I think that people would be surprised to know that.
And stay in and order pizza and just...
All I want to do.
Okay, what's your pizza
All
place?
I ever want to do. Damiano's.
On Fairfax.
Extra large. Not the regular large, the extra large with the big, like, New York slices. John and I will sit down and eat the whole thing and just so happy. Just not talk for about an hour and just gorge.
And also, that's not even like a deliver. That's a pickup. Isn't that usually like a pickup?
No, they deliver.
They deliver to your house?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And the grease starts dripping off of there. Oh, there ain't nothing better than that. There's nothing better than that.
I want to ask you silly questions. I heard you're a bowler.
Yeah. You know, I'm not a very good one, but I am a bowler. We go every Sunday. We go bowling.
Really?
With our little bag, with our ball and our shoes, and it's, you know.
So Jonathan's better
very
bowler?
Ozzie and Harriet.
He's better?
Is he a better bowler? He would like to think he's a better bowler.
You know, I'm much better than Christina, but she's an excellent bowler.
He's inconsistent, so no.
Now, you were a dancer, and Jonathan was a dancer.
Sort of. I don't think we were the same kind of dancers.
He was like a dancer.
Right.
Did he ever tell you how he auditioned? Because I read that he
auditioned for Madonna.
Really?
Yes, that's true. My very first audition, I went up to New York City, and it was for one of her tours, and I had to do the RoboCop.
Isn't that what you were going to ask me?
Well, I was going to say he auditioned for Chippendale. I know. He married almost a Chippendales dancer.
Oh, well, you know, your husband's got to have some talents. Do you know what I mean?
Do you ever get like I would think that's a
private
bonus.
show?
Well, I'm just saying.
You know, I don't know how much I'm going to reveal.
Yeah.
He's, you know, that was a very brief moment in his life, putting himself through college and whatnot. But yes, he was. Yeah, I guess that was way before me. Obviously, I know.
I didn't know the Madonna.
You didn't know? God, now I'm going to be in so much trouble.
You work out a lot. Mm-hmm. I mean, I know it's not easy to look this look this good.
Thank you.
I mean, you spin, you used to spin, you do yoga.
I spin. Yeah, I had to stop the yoga. I hurt my wrist, so I'm kind of waiting for my wrist to get better before I can get back to my downward-facing dog and everything. But, yeah, I'm a big spinner and a runner and stuff. It's just, you know, I mean, first and foremost, you want to, you know, I want to try to just remain healthy, but it's just such a good place to just get everything out, you know, get the day out, get in there and just push your body to the limit. It's a euphoric thing for me, really. But I really sometimes hate it. This morning I really hated it. I really didn't want to work out today at all.
But you do every day?
Pretty much every day. I try. And then I go and eat pizza. Lots of pizza.
It's about balance.
It is about balance. It's yin yang. I mean, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. You know? I think it just keeps me sane. I think it's so important to have something that keeps you sane and leveled in this crazy, wacky world that we live in.
They needed a baby and a mother for a walk-on Days of Our Lives. So she called and asked me if I would be willing to bring my little baby over there, and I said, yeah. So we went over and did that. And then my agent called me, the first person to ever call me Christina Applegate's mother was my agent. He called up about a week later and said, is this Christina Applegate's mother? I said, yeah. He said, they want her to come back for another appearance, but they don't want you. So I should have seen the handwriting on the wall.